Good morning, children. In our last video, we have introduced the topic Vital Villages and Thriving Towns. There, we have seen a different kind of new villages which are coming on that time. Today, we will see little bit more about this topic. Let's see. Our last video, we talked about Sangam literature, irrigation system of the villages, the people who are living in that villages, the use of iron tools like plowshare, axe. Then the people who are living in those villages like Bellalar, Grama Bhojaka, etc. In this chapter, we will explore about two major changes. That is, two major developments around this time. Those were increasing use of iron and developing in farming, mainly irrigation. This part already we have discussed during our last video session. Today we will know the finding out about the cities, what were the sources. That can be found out through stories, sculpture, archaeology, and from the travelers. Stories is the main source of Jatakas. Jatakas, which are the stories that were probably composed by ordinary people and then written down and preserved by Buddhist monks. Part of the Jataka story it has given in your book, but it is the part of a story, that's why the conclusion part is not there. But you must read about this thing so that you can understand or you will have the idea about Jataka's tale, which is also giving us the idea about the cities of that time. Now, the second part, that is the sculpture through which we came to know about the cities. Sculptures, carved scenes depicting people's life in towns and villages as well as in the forest. Through sculpture, these were used to decorate railings, pillars, gateways of the building that were visited by people later on. We can give one example of Sachi Stupa. It is a famous evidence of that time. Sculptures have also been found at Sachi, a site with stupas in Madhya Pradesh. Many cities that developed from about 2500 years ago were capitals of Mahajanapadas. Now you can see the pictures. This is also the part of sculpture. Houses. You can see the picture of ring wells. Those are also used for domestic purpose. Another source to know about the past, that is archaeological evidence. In many cities, archaeologists have found rows of pots, ceramic rings arranged one on top of the other. These are known as ring wells. They seem to have been used as toilets in some cases and as drains and garbage dumps. You can see the picture that is also given in your book. These ring wells are usually found in individual houses. From archaeological evidence, we have hardly came to know about any remains of palaces, because palaces, markets, or the homes of ordinary people, those are not to remain left. Perhaps some are yet to be discovered. Others, made of wood, mud brick, and thatched, may not have survived for a long time. Through the travelers, we also came to know about a lot of things. Another way to find out about early cities is from the accounts of sailors and the travelers who visited those places. One of the most detailed account found was by an unknown Greek sailor. He described all the ports he visited. You can see that portion has given in your book the story of Bargeja. Bargeja, it is the Greek name of Baruch. The gulf is very narrow at Bargeja and very hard to navigate for those coming from the sea. Ships had to be steered in by skillful and experienced local fishermen who were employed by the king. The imports into Bargeza were wine, copper, tin, lead, coral, topaz, cloth, gold, and silver coins. Exports from the town included plants from the Himalayas, ivory, agate, then carnelian, carrot silk, and perfumes. So many things imports through this Bargeja. Exports from the town included plants from the Himalayas, that also being done. Special gifts were brought by the merchants for king, that includes vessels of silver, singing boys, beautiful women, fine wines, fine clothes, etc. So lot of export and import activity taken place together based on this Bargeza, which is the Greek name for Bargeza was Baruch. You can get it through your book. Now I am coming to the next part, another source to understand about that time, that is the coins. Wealth was measured in terms of coins. Archaeologists have found several thousand coins belonging to this period. These earliest coins were punch-marked coins. What is punch-marked coin? Punch-marked coins are shaped generally rectangular, sometimes square or round, and method of preparation either cut out from the metal sheets or made out of flattened metal globules, a small spherical body. After that, inscribed or stamped. That is also inscribed or stamped. What is like that? The coin was not inscribed. Is they inscribed? No. They were stamped with symbols using dies or punch. That's why it is called as punch-marked coins. Now here, once again I repeat one term. Already you know about this thing, that is what is inscriptions. Inscriptions writing on relatively hard substances like stone or metal. Those were also the part of a historical source to know about that time. You can see these are the main information of this part. About these punch-marked coins, these coins were found over most parts of the subcontinent. They remained in circulation till the early centuries of CE, Common Era. One write-up also given in your book, our means of exchange. That means these punch-marked coins were used at the time of doing any kind of trade. You can read this short poem and you will get the idea about this thing. You can see the picture that in the market nowadays that process is going on. That time also this system was there, but ATM and other kind of thing was not there. Instead of that, the barter system was in practice, and as well as the use of punch mark coin. Up to this for today. Next session, that is the video number 3, we will explore little bit more from this chapter. Till then, goodbye children, and revise this lesson nicely. Bye.